With the drop of Season 5, Mirage got a massive overhaul with respect to his abilities. He's now a nightmare to deal with in close quarters, where his clones can distract and take up valuable decision-making time in a gunfight. So in my quest to both learn and counter Mirage, I found out some useful tips that you do not want to miss out on, as well as help dispel any myths surrounding Mirage's abilities. For my controller brothers, I've also figured out some hidden useful tech that can definitely help you out in certain situations. As always, I'm your host Hallismer Derek, and let's get right into the video. Like in all my videos, I'm going to go ahead and put timestamps in the description below. I don't want to waste your time. If you want to find something that particularly interests you, go ahead and skip right to it. First, we're going to start off with a basic overview of Mirage's hitbox and how he stacks up against the other legends. Despite his large personality and slim stature, Mirage actually has one of the largest hitboxes in the game for a regular health character. He has about 70% of Gibraltar's hitbox, and while that may not seem like that much, when compared to Wraith, he has over 150% of Wraith's hitbox, which is absolutely massive. So knowing your hitbox differential while playing as or against Mirage is key to knowing how you might approach some situations. Now that we've covered the hitbox of Mirage, I'm going to jump into his footsteps and how we can actually use it to easily tell which is the real Mirage and the fake Mirage. We're now in the fire range here doing some testing. I want you guys to put on some headphones and actually pay attention to the audio of what Mirage sounds like when he's on your team. Okay, nothing special, right? So now I want you to pay attention to what he sounds like when he's not on your team, and remember how that sounds. So you notice how much louder it was because Mirage is actually not on your team, right? Now I want you to pay attention to what the clone sounds like when Mirage is not on your team and he sends a clone flying towards you. So if you didn't hear a damn thing, then I want you to go ahead and like the damn video right now, because that is a really simple trick to find out which is the real Mirage, without a whole lot of thinking. Mirage's clones will never make any footstep audio, regardless if they're being controlled by him, or if they're from his tactical or from his ult. So if you ever run into a situation where you have two Mirages, quote unquote, that are next to each other, and they're running towards you, if you can isolate the footsteps on one side, then you know exactly who the real Mirage is, just like in this firing range clip here. So in a real life example, I want you to pay attention to this clip here, where I see a Mirage is about to run to my left, which is actually a decoy because there's no footsteps, and so I know the real Mirage is actually to my right, and I blast him away. So aside from things like footstep audio, I want to see if there are other legend counters to Mirage's ultimate and his clones to see if I could tell who is the real one. And definitely the first thing that came to mind was to use Bloodhound's scan and his ultimate in order to find the real Mirage, because Bloodhound got a decent buff in the Season 5 patch, and a lot more players are using him now. So as most of you already know and realize, Bloodhound's tactical ability works by simply just highlighting enemies that are in the vicinity of the scan. However, what I wanted to find out was if Mirage's clones showed up, and if they do show up, if there was a way to tell the difference between the clone and the real Mirage. So I'm here with my boy Vlad, he's playing as Mirage, he's going to pop the clone, I'm going to scan, and I'm going to see two hostiles on the screen. And what this is telling you is that Bloodhound scan is actually going to pick up the clone as a hostile, and to the untrained eye, this is going to make it seem like there's actually more people than intended. However, if you rewind and pay attention, there's actually going to be a small diamond on the real Mirage, and that goes for anybody you scan. If you scan an actual person, they're going to come up as a diamond. And as you can see here, the clone does not have a diamond on it, so you know that that's the clone and not the real Mirage. But what about Bloodhound's ultimate? Being as powerful as it is, giving you essentially digital threat vision for any gun, hopefully this would be able to help you tell the difference between the clones and the real Mirage, right? Well, it turns out the ultimate is actually less useful for this than you might think. In fact, it's actually quite detrimental to actually trying to find the real clone, as you can see here. As you may have noticed in your own gameplay, Bloodhound's ultimate not only highlights enemies, but also highlights their footsteps. And the unfortunate thing about that is that Mirage's clones also leave footsteps. So if you haven't used Eye of the Allfather to scan people, then you're going to be seeing a bunch of Mirages running around with a lot of footsteps, and it's going to confuse the hell out of you. So if you're up against a Bloodhound player, knowing that you can pop your ultimate and actually just confuse them so much is going to be a good tool in your back pocket when you're playing the game. Okay, so moving on from Bloodhound, what about another legend that is able to track people, such as Crypto? To test this, I simply just played as Crypto and I pulled up the drone while my buddy Lad was popping his clone, and sure enough, the Crypto drone will actually put a triangle around the real Mirage and not do anything to the clone. So that's pretty useful, I guess. This can be useful just for a sense of accomplishment, I guess, because the teammates, they're either going to be too close for it to matter if you ping the real Mirage, or you're going to be too far away to do anything about it anyways. So now I want to transition into some more advanced and niche tactics for controller players. As you know, controller players on both PC and console are using aim assist. 99.9% of all controller players are using aim assist, I promise you. If you're not using aim assist, then you're definitely doing something wrong with the controller. But besides that, through my testing, I've actually been able to find a couple niche strategies that you could use in your controller play that might make a difference in some gunfights. So I'll go ahead and share that right now. And if you're a PC player, don't click away, don't turn off the video, because knowing what you don't know is certainly better than knowing nothing at all. So not gonna lie, as primarily controller player, I was really looking forward to being able to use the controllability of Mirage's clones to essentially double how big Mirage's aim assist bubble is. So this would mean that the enemies that are using controllers would have to try twice as hard in order to kind of move the crosshairs into the right character in order to shoot them. I'm not sure if you guys played old games like Halo, but those games had really strong aim assist, and when enemy teammates would run in front of the people you're shooting, your aim would be dragged across the screen and you'd be unable to really concentrate on shooting either of them because it would just mess your aim up. But with my testing, that's unfortunately not the case here with the clones. Hopping back into the firing range here, you're going to notice that the clone is on the left hand side and the real Mirage is on the right hand side. And as I'm holding the triple take here, you're noticing that I'm getting that aim assist slow down and the rotation with the real Mirage on the right hand side, whereas on the clone on the left, I'm not getting any aim assist whatsoever, and I'm just using whatever raw input I use, and there's no aim assist. And so you're also going to notice that when I'm sweeping my aim over the real Mirage on the right hand side, I'm getting a lot of aim assist slowdown as I'm sweeping the crosshair. So I'm getting that sort of muddy resistance that you get in order to aim better. That's how aim assist works on console and on a controller. So that's just one thing to know, that if you are a controller player, you're able to tell which is the real Mirage just by having aim assist on that character. Another thing I tried to do was manipulate the Mirage clone to stand in front of me or a little off to the side while I'm shooting, so it was able to tank one bullet, kind of how Gibraltar's shield can actually tank a bullet even though it might only have 1 health on the gun shield. But unfortunately, this is not the case. Mirage's clone actually doesn't have any health, so if you shoot the Mirage clone and it's in front of someone, it's going to go right through the clone and hit them. So just really quickly before you hop into the last segment of the video, I want to thank you guys for watching this far, and if you made it this far, you probably enjoy and like what I have to say. So if you are, go ahead and consider liking and subscribing the video, because I post content like this 1 to 2 times per week and you definitely don't want to miss it. I just want to end the video with a couple more quick tips that will help you in your gameplay. So another legend that's actually a pretty hard counter to Mirage in my opinion is going to be Revenant and his death balls. So what can happen is if you're playing as Revenant and Mirage is on an enemy team, Mirage is going to try and pop his ultimate in order to bamboozle you. But what you can do is if you actually shoot the death ball right as Mirage uses his animation, you destroy all the clones, and you will actually be able to see the Mirage going invisible because he gets that red static around him when he gets hit by the death ball. Many of you already know that Mirage's clones will give away the position of the enemy that damaged him, so this includes things like Watson's fences, Bangalore and Gibraltar's ultimate, grenades, any sort of gunfire, Revenant's death ball. However, some of you might not know that Caustic's gas actually doesn't affect the Mirage clone anymore. So Caustic players, buffs galore, your gas no longer will cause the enemy to know where you are if the clone is actually sent into your gas cloud. So there you guys have it. I'm going to wrap the video up right here. I hope you guys learned something useful and got something out of this. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace out.